What's up, guys? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks for being here and being subscribed. If you're not, hit that button. And if you're listening on YouTube, hit that like button. It's like walking into the room and hitting that light switch. We just want to brighten up the place. Let's get into this conversation / reality chat. All right, guys. So I'm really curious as to how Kim and Kroy are paying the bills, because as it's been reported, and I recently talked about Kroy, he decided that he's done. He is not willing to try to make the relationship work out anymore because they previously had called off the divorce, at least. We thought, for the sake of probably having some deal or agreement or something, maybe with one of the networks to do some sort of reality show. That's what most people were thinking, because it's like they have so much going on in terms of all of these different lawsuits that have been filed against them. It seemed like every other day it was a news outlet that was reporting that somebody was filing a lawsuit. American Express filed a lawsuit against Kim. Casino filed a lawsuit against Kroy, which is kind of ironic because I feel, in my personal opinion, just based on the knowledge that we have of what has been going on, with Kim being the one that had the gambling addiction and lost so much of the money, that some way, somehow, she either put something in his name or he put it in his name, a tab or something in his name for her. I'm thinking she probably did it in his name, just based on seeming the type of person that she seems to be. I don't even think that that's something that he did himself. But it's being reported by Radar Online that he isn't interested in reconciling because they are broke and he is tired of the fights and 911 calls. So Real Housewives of Atlanta star Kimzolciak believes, and it's funny they keep calling her that. She hadn't been on that show in years. Call her Tardy for the Party or Don't Be Tardy or whatever the freaking show was called that they were on that got canceled after maybe 7 or 8 seasons. Anyway, believes she could win back her estranged husband, Kroybierman, but sources close to the ex-NFL star say she shouldn't hold her breath. According to sources close to the situation, the two have been having blowout fights for the past couple of weeks, and their attempts to work on their issues have been unsuccessful. The two have been blaming the other for their dire financial situation, including a $1.1 million tax lien filed by the IRS. As we previously reported last week, Kroy filed for divorce from Kim only weeks after they called off their initial divorce. They said called out, but anyway, they should have put called off. In his filing, the ex-NFL star asked the court to award him primary custody of their 4 minor kids, child support, and the exclusive use of the Georgia mansion they shared together. TMZ caught Kim a couple of days after the divorce was filed wearing her wedding ring at the airport. She seemed open to the idea of reconciling with Kroy and believed the divorce would be dismissed again. However, Kroy's lawyer, Marlis Bergstrom, told the outlet, no, at this time he is still moving forward with the divorce action. Kroy's decision comes after cops were recently called out to the couple's home for the umpteenth time. As RadarOnline.com first reported, Kim called the police on her estranged husband on August 25th. It's weird, it's my birthday. Anyway, to report a domestic disturbance. One day after he slapped him with the divorce papers, and the same day he served her with the paperwork at their home. That's kind of weird. You're in the same house together still, and I don't know, did you say, hey, the pizza that we ordered is at the door, go answer it, and then the person served her with papers? I'm just curious. Kim claimed Kroy had locked her out of their home. The caller statement, husband locked her out, caller arguing with husband, the police report read. No one in danger, but caller reports her husband has threatened her. She had a locksmith come out and drill into the door to get her in, officers noted. Her Her husband has put a pillow outside the door and won't let her in the house. Dang. Officers left the scene after an hour at the scene. Radar Online obtained an exclusive body cam footage of Kim and Kroy talking to officers during previous visits prior to Kroy filing for divorce a second time. During the talks, Kim admitted to police she thinks Kroy suffers from CTE from his days in the NFL, while he accused her of having a gambling addiction. Kim has yet to respond to Kroy's new divorce in court. I don't think he has CTE. I just think he was stupid for getting with her in the first place and not listening to the advice of his mom and family, because they clearly were not a good match. Clearly, not just because he's so much younger than her, but he wasn't as life experienced as she was. She took advantage of that guy. I don't feel sorry for him. I don't. I'm not saying I feel sorry for him, but if I were to pick between the two who should get the children, I believe he should. I believe that she is really unstable. My personal opinion. I believe he would have been the more responsible one, but he let this chick wrap him around her finger and he was just there for her disposal. She doesn't care about anybody. She never has been a responsible person when it came to finances, okay? I believe everything that she had when we met her, or were introduced to her, I should say, because I never met her, was because of Big Papa, and he probably was just paying the bills. I'm not even saying that she was actually the one that was paying the bills, because if it were up to her, she'd just go shopping all the time. I mean, when she was introduced to us, wearing those ridiculous synthetic wigs and sitting there talking about, I shop and act like the bill's never going to come. Those are words that she said. She lived by that moniker. That was her lifestyle. Having Chanel and Gucci and whatever else being delivered to her home. Like, I just felt like she was absolutely insane and unreal. And honestly, I felt like some of the beginning of her new relationship with Kroy, she was still being financed by Big Papa. My personal opinion, I could be wrong, but Kroy was a football player in the NFL and he was not a star. He wasn't, I don't know all these sports people, but he wasn't like a Troy Aikman or, these people that you just know their names, So, yeah, he wasn't making that much money, and I don't believe he has CTE. First of all, they have to examine one who has died to see if they have CTE. And I'm not saying that someone couldn't display or exhibit any traits of having it before they die, but I don't believe he had taken that many hits to have that. I just think he was just crazy and stupid for being with her. So instead of telling the cops that I think he has CTE, she could have said, I think he has stupidity because he stayed with me. And because he chose to stay with me all these years, he's stuck or whatever. But to say he has CTE, girl, bye. I think that this is just a freaking train wreck. I didn't see it lasting. I really didn't. And even when it was called off, I felt like it was a publicity stunt, or maybe they had inked a reality show deal or were in talks for that. So that was going to be a part of it. But yeah, him refiling and saying that he's done, I'm not surprised by that. A lawyer spoke to a news outlet and was speaking about their financial problems. And she said there's a lot that's going on here, but obviously financial problems are one of the number one reasons why people do get divorced. And that puts a lot of pressure on relationships. So that may be one of the things that's going on here behind the scenes. I think it's one of the main things that's going on that has contributed to other things, right? But she says, I'm really surprised at how they've handled this, both in terms of the family side and the potential bankruptcy. It seems like these two need to separate, need to file for bankruptcy, really start their life over, both their personal and professional life, because everything just seems like a mess right now. And honestly, that's what I was talking about when it comes to the finances. Like, how are they paying their bills? To say that TMZ saw her at the airport, girl, how are you affording to fly? Like, seriously, how are you even affording to fly? Earlier this month, U.S. Weekly confirmed that a debt collection company sued kimzolciakdivorce for an unpaid bill on her HSBC/Saks card. According to documents obtained by us, the company sued her for $156,080.64, which includes interest accrued since she allegedly stopped making payments on her bill. The card had a limit of $115,000. And the docs showed that her last payment came in September 2022, almost a year ago, in the amount of $4,179. The card has since been restricted and cannot be used. And in May, TMZ reported that kimzolciakdivorce and Bierman owed more than $1.1 million to the IRS. So the lawyer said that it can sometimes be better to remain married when a couple is considering filing for bankruptcy, but it really depends on the circumstances, what sort of assets the parties have together, whether it's community property or marital assets, what they have separately, and if there's debt that's incurred by one spouse and not the other. And so it's just a freaking mess. I don't know why they haven't filed for bankruptcy yet, whether together or separately. And how are they even paying the bills? The home was foreclosed on earlier this year. Somehow it got saved and they're still in it. But how are the bills being paid? Did someone just buy it outright for them and they don't have to pay to live there? Something. What do you guys think is going on when it comes to the bills being paid, and how are they still able to stay in that home? But yeah, Kroy said he's done. There's no going back, but yet they're still living together. I couldn't even imagine. I just couldn't. But I could see why he would want her out of the house, even though the home is not a little 1,000 square foot apartment, but yet and still, when you are under the roof with someone that you are in conflict with, it can seem extremely small. Like, seriously, living with someone that you're not getting along with, that's a hard battle to fight. And just to see the body cam footage of them and how distressed they look, that's how I'm sure it is all the time with the two of them at this point in that house. You know, the body cam footage shows both of them in a closet. You can see her wigs and stuff like that. It's just crazy. It really is crazy. So I'm really curious as to how they are paying the bills, and are they going to file for bankruptcy? I'm just curious because these news stories about the police coming over, being called out, him kicking her out of the house, not letting her in, giving her a pillow to sleep on the front porch or in the garage. And it's not funny, but it's just to picture this. I'm getting a visual of it. I just could not help but laugh because it's absolutely insane. And we just saw her delusional lips on The Real Housewives of Atlanta several episodes ago when Sheree invited her and the other so-called OGs out for dinner. And her being extra, standing there, dancing, acting like she's hip and cool or whatever, when she was just around the Real Housewives some seasons ago and calling out all of them, including Sheree, and saying that they're all ridiculous and racism doesn't exist anymore and they all owe the world an apology and Sheree didn't protect her and all this other stuff. Like, that's one of the reasons why I can't stand Sheree. Sheree is just, like, ridiculous. She is. And to call this woman a friend, who was a friend to no one, absolutely insane. But yet, she was sitting there at that table with Sheree, with Lisa, and with Deshaun, talking about how amazing Kroy is. and they've been married for 11 years and it's just so perfect. See, anyway, guys, I just wanted to talk about that. Let me know your thoughts about all of this craziness in the comment section. Thanks for being here, for liking and subscribing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So until the next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful, and now I'm going to say bye.